Gerontocracy. This is a word that you should know. A new word, recently coined, but quickly gaining traction is the perfect description for the government that we currently live under. Not a monarchy, not a democracy, but a gerontocracy. A society that strangles the ability of young families to grow and flourish, that actively kneecaps younger generations, rather than invest in young workers, insists on the importation of cheap foreign labor. It's a style of government that actively betrays its people, one that circles itself on a civilizational death spiral. Tucker Carlson has commented on in the past, most notably very publicly supporting James Fishback and his policies, many of which are aimed directly at this very problem. People like Candace Owens constantly laud the need for young families, the need to invest in young Americans, and it is the de facto Groyper America First position to invest in young families and invest in young workers, specifically in young men who have been systemically kept out, because gerontocracy is the rule of, for, by, and benefiting the old, always at expense of the young. Folks, welcome back to The Narrative with me, your host, Will Sexton. As the intro suggests, the White House has made some moves recently that has sparked a new conversation surrounding age. I've made my opinions on boomers very, very clear. I think most people have made their opinions on boomers clear, all of which are negative. The Gen Xers hated them as their parents, the millennials hated them as their grandparents, and we here in Gen Z hate them just in general. I say all of this to showcase recent events in our government. See, many people have noted that we do live in a form of gerontocracy. While more and more young families are being strangled to death by the dual grindstones of taxation and inflation, rising costs, unemployment, it seems that our government is focusing all of its energy on the approval rating of boomers. And you can see this in several policies that have been promoted, which obviously on their face don't say this is a policy for boomers to benefit boomers and actively destroy young people. But if you look at the ramifications of these policies, you immediately understand what they will do and what they will bring to younger generations in pursuit of enriching and garnering the favor of the old. And so today I would like to take a look at some of the recent events of the White House and explain how it is we got here and what it means for you. But before we get into all that, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the follow, hit the bell to get notified whenever I make a new post. Be sure to follow me on my other platforms like Kick and Rumble. And with all that being said, let's jump into the news. You might have seen this if you are on X as deep as me, the White House account, which honestly, I'm fairly certain it's just Donald Trump running the White House account. I can't prove that. It's gotta be that, or it's someone who's like a young social media manager who is tapped in to boomer tweeting, to like boomer politics. So good. Honestly, you have to give them credit at a certain point. Yesterday, the White House posted this AI slop in the most egregious display of gerontocracy, announcing that there will be no tax on Social Security. Dude, do you understand? Like, that's insane. Like, look at the screenshot of this, okay? It's a photo of like an elderly couple labeled the greatest generation announcing that there's going to be no taxes on Social Security. And of course, people are furious about this because it is a clear example of politics just favoring the old, a generation that is dying and will not have to live through the consequences of their greed. This meme summed it up perfectly, which is that this is the new social contract. This is the state of the law-abiding, tax-paying, job-working American, is that basically most of your tax dollars, which at this point is most of your income, is going and paying for all of these things. It's paying for Israel, Social Security, welfare, migrant services. Like it's basically you're being forced to pay for everything that is destroying you. And this has become the de facto norm of our society. This has become the state of politics. I'd love to show you this great clip right here.
I encourage everyone to take a look at their taxes from this past year and to calculate how much money you spent on the boomer class. Now I'll use my own numbers. In the year of 2025, I made $31,121.06. Now I'm not rich by any sense of the word, but I do work and I do pay my fair share in taxes. And what did I pay? Well, $5,127.06 came out of my paycheck, with another $201 of federal taxes collected at the time of filing, for a total of $5,328.06. In percentage, that's 17.1%. That's a huge portion of my spending power as an individual, especially for how much money I earned. But I don't necessarily have a problem with taxes at their face, but I do have a problem with who and where they go to. Of that tax money, $1,929.52 went to Social Security, with another $451.27 going to Medicare, for a total of $2,380.79 going to programs that are pretty much exclusively used by the boomer class. Putting that into a percentage, 44.6% of my taxes went to the boomer class. 7.6% of everything I made in 2025 went to the boomer class.
Look at this guy. He looks like he's around my age. Okay, I'm 26, few years younger than me. $31,000 is his income. $31,000? Are you kidding me? This is a young man who should be making enough right now, working whatever job he's working, to afford a family and a home. $31,000 is hardly enough to handle yourself. He's clearly living at home. I'm not trying to, I sound like I'm disparaging the guy. Like I sound like I'm making fun of him. I'm not. I'm just trying to point out a problem. Like, this is common. This is not a unique phenomenon. This is a very, very common thing right now. It is absolutely disgusting and appalling, and I understand if already you're upset, but it only gets worse. Like you saw, this is a normal young man. Like, this is someone who should be able to work and afford a family. A great example of a geriocratic policy is something like the recently announced no tax on boat loan interests. Lord help us. Do any of you know a Zoomer, a Gen Zer who owns a fucking boat? Let alone like lives on their own. Okay, that's not like, just let alone lives on their own. Do you know any that own a boat? Not only that, but be so unbelievably irresponsible that they would take out a loan on a boat. Of course you don't, because that's nonsensical. That's not reality. It is a reality for boomers. And this is a policy that gained widespread condemnation on X, and I thought I'd look into it a little more. The policy was proposed by Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, the representative of South Carolina's 1st Congressional District. I'll put a map here of that area. What do you notice about the area that she represents? What do you notice about her constituency? It's Charleston and Myrtle Beach. It's like basically one large retirement community. This is a policy that directly and only impacts boomers. It is literally meant to give them money. And so, by the way, that's money that's being taken out of taxes. And so now the government is relying on your taxes, on your income tax. So the income that you have, which is how you survive and feed yourself, that becomes part of the government coin purse. Okay, that becomes part of the government wallet. Meanwhile, the potential tax money that could be earned on boat loan interest, that's taken out. That's not there. But what is possibly fueling this? To think that this is allowed is absolutely insane. But as I said before, it only gets worse. Right now, like most single family homes without occupancy, that means like a starter home, like a home in which a young family could live that is large enough to hold anywhere from 2 to 3 children plus a mom and a dad, basic American dream. Most of them are being bought up by Blackstone. People think they're being bought up by BlackRock. That's a misconception. They're being bought up by Blackstone. Ever since the housing market crash in 2008, something that I imagine most of us were children during and probably were directly affected by, ever since then, Blackstone, a private equity firm, has been buying up single-family homes for way above market price. If you wonder why you can't own a home, it's because of Blackstone. You're competing with a private equity firm that is willing to highball you. So who are these people, you might ask? Well, of course, the founder and CEO is one Steven Schwartzman. It's like they're not even trying, dude. It's like they're not even trying to hide it. It's incredible. And currently has $1 trillion in assets. Mind you, assets is things like property. A lot of this is single-family homes, utilizing it as an inflation hedge and betting that the prices will rise, mostly because they are taking away supply. They're also making money in rental income by turning it over to the government for things like Section 8. And so this is where we're at. The single-family home, which is supposed to be the staple of the American identity, the American dream as we know it, has become nothing more than an asset to be traded. And we have to note something here, okay? It's one thing. We can blame the financier class, we can blame the Wall Street class, and we should. Don't get me wrong, we absolutely should. But let it also be noted that the blame falls on boomers, that boomers are not fulfilling their obligations as people, as our countrymen. I can't stress that you don't hate them enough. It was an upward trend for literally centuries that every generation gets wealthier, every generation gets better, that they are wealthier than the one before them, that their parents set them up for success, and they continue a trend upward. And yet, this is the first time in history where it peaked with the boomers in Western society and is now only going down. Because boomers are like selfish. I mean, they are a generation raised by the weakest of our men, the strongest, most courageous, having died in World War II. They lived in the perfect, like picturesque, perfect America and then destroyed it for their own greed and benefit. And this is where we are today. Why does that happen? Why are we where we are? Well, it's twofold. One, boomers donate. Let's make that very clear. They donate to political campaigns, both as like big time donors, because the wealthiest of our society are boomers on average, and also in small dollar donations. They are the ones who support candidates the most financially. And second, they vote. Like a lot. They have the time to. They have the time to go and vote, and they can afford to do so. And so they effectively decide who the congressmen are, who the senators are. And it's been made very clear that the Republican Party is entirely orienting itself towards gerontocracy because boomers are the only people that still support the Republican Party. Where does that place us as young people, as young America First people? Well, it's simple. We can't let them win. I need to make it very clear. You might have heard commentators speaking constantly about the need to like make sure the Republicans don't win. This is largely due to their support of Israel and a war in Iran, but I would take it a step further and say that no, they need to not win so we don't live in full gerontocracy and set ourselves for a future in which we have nothing and the wealthiest of the financier class have everything. We like explicitly need to vote for the Democrat Party. I'm sorry, we need to. And let me make it clear here. Maybe I can use this as a way to properly discuss my political platform. I currently like the Democrat Party more than I like the Republican Party. Okay, that's where we are. Because the Republican Party has become the party of boomers, Zionists, internationalists, and this grand like financier class. That is all it has become, nothing more and nothing less. It's war with Iran, it's gerontocracy, and it's paving the way for a new aristocracy wherein an ethnic affinity lords over us. That is where we are. And so I like the Democrats more because, yeah, they want like infinite migration, and a lot of them like profess a profound disdain for me as a young white man. Many of them are like ideologically very, very left-wing to a concerning point, but at least they don't want to go to war with Iran, and at least they want to tax the fucking interest on boat loans. Boat loan interest. I'm sorry, I can't get over that. Boat loan interest? Are you fucking, like, those are words that have never come out of a Zoomer's mouth. Boat loan interest. How unbelievably financially irresponsible do you have to be to not only be accruing fucking interest on a boat loan, but to get a loan for a boat? Like, the only reason you should get a fucking loan on a boat is if you are a commercial fisherman, something that boomers are not. They're not even fishing because that would take too much work, and boomers hate to work because we live in boomer communism. Do you understand what's happening here? They are looting us. And so yes, I have much more of an affinity for the Democrats than I do the Republicans right now. And I've said it before, I care very deeply about the idea of coalition. I mean, we are soon entering the post-Trump age, and obviously the Republican Party has become what it is. Except now they've built a fortress around it. I mean, the Trump revolution, which we now know was largely astroturfed, that did break down some walls that they have built back up with pure fucking titanium. Okay, the reason we're allowed to talk about the things we're allowed to talk about, the reason that I'm allowed to talk this way with you now when I wasn't before, is because they have padded themselves. The idea that we're gonna get in to the Republican Party and change things is not going to fucking happen. It's just not. We would literally have a better shot at siding with the Democrat Party. We would have a better shot infiltrating the Democrat Party and then like restarting the Blue Dog Coalition, something like that, which I wouldn't be fucking opposed to that. You understand? Like, and maybe, I don't know why leftists would see this. I don't know why they would hear my politics on this, and maybe they wouldn't want to hear me out because of my more inflammatory statements, but I truly mean this. You would landslide every election from here to really the death of people my age if you just very fucking simply cut the race stuff. That's it. Just cut the race stuff. Just stop trying to kill me, okay? Like, other than that, most Gen Zers like the idea of taxing the wealthiest. Most Gen Zers would benefit from the idea of taxing the wealthiest, of having education be free, better state-subsidized healthcare, actual investment into families, okay? And by the way, I think most Gen Zers would be willing to concede some things within legal migration and within the demographic makeup of America. I think they'd be willing to concede certain things, okay? But just stop the race stuff, okay? You have beaten and ground down young white men to a pulp, okay? Any like privilege that did exist in our society has been ground away, okay? It is like completely obvious that out of everyone in our society, young white men have it the worst. Like, I'm sorry, but it's true. Maybe you don't want to hear that. I get it, okay? And that's like a foreign idea to you because of media agitprop. It's just a fucking fact, okay? Do you not see them struggling? Like the video we just watched together. In a society in which that man is genuinely privileged, he wouldn't be making $31,000 a year as a hardworking, honest young man. Okay, this is not like a bum. This is not a hobo. A clean, proper young man, like literally in your mind, when you think of like a proper, upstanding American man, you think of that guy, and he's making $31,000 a year. Just stop it. Just fucking stop it, and all of us would like you. Just stop it. Stop the race stuff, okay? Just come on. Like, what are we doing? And by the way, you would achieve more of your aims if you stopped the race stuff, this whole open border so I can get votes bullshit. You could get votes instead by all of Gen Z if you just closed the border. And I'm not saying you need to start rounding up people in like based Agarthan Twitter death squads, okay? Like, anybody reasonable in politics is not asking you to become like that. Be normal. That's all it takes, is just be fucking normal. Like, no, importing most of the world for cheap foreign labor is not good for the American worker. Like, it's not good for the American worker of any race. Let me make that very clear. It's not good for Black Americans, not good for Hispanic Americans. It's not good for anybody. It is literally only good for the wealthiest of our society. So just stop it. Like, why do you hate me? There's no reason to hate me. And this is a problem that I have, is so much of Gen Z young men, the reason why they're entering into extremism, which, listen, I'm not against that. Not at all. I think it's awesome. But we're beginning to see it cross into an area that is not possible, okay? Something like Groyperism is good because it's possible. It's things that make fucking sense, okay? Things like Turner Diary white nationalism, that's fucking nonsense. That's nonsense. Like, let alone the moral implications of it. Like, putting that aside for a moment here, it is just objectively not possible. But your insistence on hating us is causing that when you could just be normal. But then the problem I have is that really what we should be striving for ideologically in American politics is mercy rather than revenge and anger. I understand more than anybody the desire to like absolutely uproot and destroy everything, but that's not going to happen, okay? The state and the infrastructure around it, insecurity, is so strong. They know everything about you. They know all of your movements. A revolution is not coming anytime soon. It's just not. It's not possible in the modern day. So rather than hoping and praying for the revolution that never comes, we should make some concessions and then accost that our opposition makes some concessions. Like, you don't need to hate us, dude. You don't need to hate us. You don't. We don't pose a threat to you. I know the average young white man. I am the average young white man. I don't want to hate. I don't want to hold prejudice. I just want to live. And I'm even fine with certain things that like people on my side, I don't identify myself as on a side, but people have identified me as such because of other opinions. People on my side don't like me because I'm not an ethno-statist. I'm not fucking insane. Like, dude, just go to any major city. You fucking see it, okay? You see it. It's undeniable, okay? If it was 10 years ago, you could say to me, oh, that's bullshit, that's whatever, that's not true, etc., etc. We don't live in that world anymore. Okay, it's 2026. Go to New York City. It's a fucking mess. And clearly the debase and grind down white people politic has not solved anything for anybody. It hasn't. It hasn't solved this issue. It hasn't taken us out of Iran. It hasn't even taken us out of Iraq. What we need more than anything is a coalition, an America First coalition that is not defined by any specific, like, codified social value, okay? Because, yeah, there are very coastal liberal Gen Z people who have, they're secular, whatever, and that's fine. If we think with reason and logic for a moment here, like, that's fine. It's fine if people want to be secular, okay? It's not, hey, that's not my salvation. We need politics that are fucking normal, okay? We need a radical pragmatism. That, if there's anything that I represent in politics, it's radical pragmatism. I want radical change in our society, but I'm fucking realistic about it. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful, okay? And the truth is, attempting to just continuously debase and impoverish young white men, it's not helping anyone. Like, if it was helping you, I'd get it. Like, if this was sincerely enriching and sincerely, like, empowering the non-male, non-white groups, I would understand that. But it's like objectively not. It is only enriching the political class surrounding these issues. Like, someone like an Ilhan Omar isn't enriching you. She's hardly even enriching the Somalis she imported. She is enriching herself. And you need to understand that. And if you can't grasp that, I can't help you, and you probably shouldn't be making decisions, but unfortunately, your vote is equal to mine. And so listen to somebody who fucking knows a thing or two. All of this is to say that the only solution to gerontocracy is the complete upheaval of its political power, and that power is found right now centralized in the Republican Party. The Democrat Party possesses a lot of distaste for young white men. That can change. We can fix that. That can be changed because people aren't making fucking money off of that. The voters aren't making money off that. We're not going to be able to change boomers when they're making money off of it. And they're not leaving this earth fast enough for us to just wait it out. So yeah, the Republican Party, it can't win in the midterms. It can't win. We can't reward this behavior. It's just a fucking fact. We can't reward this behavior. We would literally have a better time trying to deal with the Democrat Party. And by the way, I've said this before, that there is a growing contingent in the Democrat Party that is a lot more centrist than in years past. Someone like an Anna Kasparian, who we all know I love so dearly, she's not a radical leftist. Like, you can't look at her and say that's a radical leftist who, like, possesses race communist sentiment. She's not. Honestly, like, the average person is not. And they find the extremism of, like, the 2010s ridiculous. And so with all that being said, I want to highlight these issues because I want to see genuine and real America First solutions proposed, however those may come. And I don't care if it brings flack on me. I don't care if the most ideologically orthodox of, like, the dissident right comes at me and says, how dare you even contemplate the idea of working with this party that allows race communism and yada, yada, yada. And to that I would say, hey, maybe that's keeping bad company, but you can stay over there and enjoy your no taxes on fucking boat loans. Folks, that's going to do it for us today on this episode of The Narrative. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know down below what you think of this episode. I wanted to try, I'm thinking like middle of the week, I want to start implementing more speaking about direct current event politics rather than like the deep dive kind of historical influence stuff, Because there's always news. There's a limited amount of history. It's still being made every day. But there's always news, always something going on. And I like to talk about the news. And if you follow me on Twitter, which you should, I talk about the news a lot, far more than I talk about history or talk about the influences in our world. I'm very, very interested in political commentary and talking about politics. And I have a very specific and unique opinion. One that I hope some of you share, but maybe I've pissed off people. But hey, if I pissed you off, please let me know down below. Add to the engagement. Let me know down below. Definitely write your dissent down below. As a matter of fact, you should subscribe, hit the bell, like, get notified whenever I make a new post so that you can come back and keep leaving your negative opinions about me. I would deeply appreciate that. Folks, with all it being said, be sure again to follow me on Kick, on my more unfiltered platform, so we can start doing some fun content there. Be sure to follow me on my second channel, William Speaks, even more informal, even more just me kind of shooting the shit. Be sure to give me a follow all there and to tune into the streams Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends. Folks, with all that being said, as I always say, God bless you and God bless America.